It's my honor to be a part of this very important, needed discussion with a group of very young, talented African American baseball players. And I can't think of a better place for this discussion to originate than at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. And in light of things that we've seen happen in recent days and things that have happened over recent times that have been magnified by what we saw in recent days, this is obviously a very needed and important discussion, and I'm happy to be a part of it. And I'm happy to get the opinions and views of those who make their living in this game, those who are of African American descent. And so I'm going to just kind of steer along the conversation. Usually I'm on the other side of the camera answering questions. I get to ask questions today. And for me, guys, as a kid growing up in Crawfordville, Georgia, and Crawfordville, Georgia is east of Atlanta, west of Augusta, all of about 500 people. And as a kid growing up in the 60s, and my parents felt compelled and the need to teach their kids what I call survival skills. So basically, they told us what to do and how to go about doing it if you came into a situation where you were stopped by law enforcement. And so for them, it was never about your pride or your dignity. It was about keeping their child alive so that he would be able to tell this story another day. And here I am now in 2020, and I'm having that same conversation again with my children who are you all's age. And so I guess the first question that I wanted to pose, and I'll start with Mychal, because I look at the screen, I'll start with Mychal, because he's on the top left on my screen. What was your reaction, immediate reaction, to the George Floyd incident?
It's just tough to see that, and tough to see all the things that have been going on in the last like 3 to 5 years, even more things that we probably don't even know that's behind the scenes. But it's just tough to see a gentleman like that to get his life taken away and to see that situation. We just want to see justice and want to see everybody get treated equally. Like, we're on this United States of all together, and we should be fighting together against other people, not ourselves. And it doesn't matter what color you are and where you come from and it's just about having respect and respecting each other.
Yeah, Josh, same question. What was your reaction when you saw that video?
You know, I mean, you're sitting there, I was seeing it on my phone. One question pops into my mind. It's like, again, it's a scenario where, as a nation, it felt like we went through the Amy Cooper incident and then the Ahmaud Arbery incident shortly before that. So it was like, within a week and a half, 2 weeks, it was 3 glaringly disgusting things going on where it just felt like injustice was continuing to thrive. And it's a scenario where, we're all sitting at home watching. We have no baseball. We have no LeBron posterizing somebody on TV. Like, there's no Sports Center Top 10 right now. We're all sitting at home watching these disgusting things come to, unfold. And, it's tough, but, it's awesome to see that people of all color are feeling the same way. People of all color are feeling that injustice is real here in the States. And I'm just hoping that, this time next year, this time, 4 or 5 years from now, things will have changed so that things like this don't happen. It can't be swept under the rug. It doesn't need a video camera somewhere. It's time for that change. So I'm hoping that it comes now.
Yeah. Delino.
Well, for me, I remember having a discussion after Ahmaud got murdered, and I was voicing to some of my friends how I wanted to kind of speak up about that incident, and I just didn't know if it was like the right time or the right place. I was kind of in that, on that line of what do I say without hurting people's feelings and all this stuff, and then a couple weeks later, George Floyd, you know, he gets married or, you know, he gets murdered and pisses me off. Like, and I've been just, you know, on my social platforms, I've lost, you know, hundreds of followers and just for voicing my own opinion and voicing how I feel about it, how angry I am, how upset I am. And, you know, growing up, my dad, he's, you know, he played in the big leagues. And, you know, he went through some stuff while he was playing. And one of the things that he always surrounded me by was my culture, you know. And I went to a private school in Atlanta. I was surrounded by white people my whole life. I have no problem with white people. I think being around white people helped me, you know, in these situations, know how to, like, you know, handle myself in the correct way. You know, aside from what my parents, you know, would teach us growing up. But yeah, man, it just made me mad. And you know, we all have this platform now to be able to speak. And you know, now's the time to do it. You see everybody kind of, you know, grasping around this situation and really putting our arms around each other and really just trying to make the world a better place. And yeah, I'm still mad. You know, like,
No,
you know, I try to bring some light, you know, to it every once in a while. But you know, I'm here to voice my opinion. If you got anything to say about that, I'm gonna call your ass out. Like, you know, it's not okay. People need to know the truth. That people need to see the life that we live on a daily basis. People need to know that. And you know, it takes all of us speaking out about our own experiences and about the things that we went through growing up for people to really genuinely see what it's like to be us, especially outside of our uniform.
Taylor, what was your reaction? I think you might be the youngest of our group of panelists today, and I'm the senior citizen of this group, but I'm curious about what your reaction was when you saw it.
There's a lot of frustration, that's for sure. But just, it made me just think about all the conversations I've always had with my mom and dad growing up about how they always would you know, call me all the time when I'm on the road. I was in college, and just how much they cared, you know, and then finally realizing, you know, the reason why they did call, and just all the conversations we always had about different type of set of rules, and just being an African-American man and Black guy in this world, and how different it is, you know, how to conduct yourself and everything. So it was very hurtful, and you know, like everybody else, it still sets, you know, pretty wrong with me, of course. But it got to the point to where, you know, when I'm having conversations with a lot of my buddies and trying to tell them about it, you know, I'm like, man, it's like this shouldn't be shock to anybody. Like, this is stuff that's been going on for a while, a long time. And you know, just trying to tell them, like, hey, like, any of you guys open to have a conversation with, like, I'm always down, but if we're gonna have this conversation, I need you guys to listen and not be able to be so quick to respond, and be able to just understand, like, where I'm coming from as well, and just all the stuff that I've been through as well, but just African American and all the stuff that we go through.
Yeah. And Lorenzo, it's great to see you, man. And again, what were your immediate thoughts when you saw the video?
Yeah, man, it was just watching the video, man. It was, I'm just some kind of sad, you know, disgusted, you know, especially, you know, seeing that and watching him just keep his knee in the guy's neck, and George Floyd's neck, and just not even let up at all, you know. Disgusting. And like I say, me growing up is a situation in which, like I said, my mom worked in the fields, my grandmother worked in the fields. So, you know, and she's always taught me, you know, treat everybody like you would want to be treated. So, you know, and I've always stuck with that, and I've grown. I'm teaching my kids that. Like I said, I have 3 kids myself. So, like I said, George Floyd was somebody's son, so, you know, and I couldn't even imagine if I saw my son, you know, with a cop on, or with his knee in his neck, what I would do, you know, in that situation, how I would react. So it really hit me hard, it hit everybody hard. And like I said, the reaction and the response I'm getting from everybody has been positive. You know, all my buddies been texting me, and just tell them, let me know that they're with me, and you know, try to stay positive and hopefully things get better from this. But yeah, it's just definitely shocking and tough to watch and tough to try to explain to my kids and other people around me, because there's always a few group that just don't understand and don't get it, you know. And I feel like there needs to be change. Things need to get better. And as a whole, as a community, as a group, America, hopefully we can grow from this, get better from this, and hopefully all this just stops, you know.
Yeah. And Dwight, man, good to see you as well. Again, just wanted to know your immediate reaction to seeing the video.
First time I saw that video, I was like very surprised, but at the same time, it's been happening for like quite some time. Wow, it was like gut wrenching because you got a guy putting his knee on somebody's neck and everybody else is just literally just watching him suffer, and like nobody's doing anything. It's pretty much like the same principle as like if a guy is beating on a female, you're jumping in and breaking that up if you're in a public place. But that same principle isn't used if a cop's got a man like in the pen and nobody's doing anything. So that's like the same thing to me. It's like why is nobody getting them off? Like as it's almost like a boy code. If somebody's knocked out, you stop the fight off rip.
Yeah.
You don't let them just keep punching the guy if he's unconscious. You just don't let that happen. And they say fight's over. So for me seeing that and like him gasping for air for as long as he did, that was just enough is enough. That was way too much.
Well, and again, I think it's so important what you all are sharing, your feelings and your views. And again, as young African-American professional athletes who have a platform, and clearly by you all being here as part of the show, you feel like that you should exercise that platform and utilize your voice. So what I want to pose to you all, obviously we see what the problem is. We've known what the problem has been for quite some time. And I think it finally came to light literally because we all witnessed. And I think that's the one advent of what we've seen in this social media crazed world that we live in, that we literally watched someone in law enforcement murder someone. But as we talk about platform, how important is it for you all to use your voice as someone that others look up to in your sport? Anybody just jump right on in.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, so like that's for me. Like I have a foundation called the Givens Back Foundation, and I take really good pride of it about helping young kids. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, any background, to teach these kids to be together. We're here on this earth together. We should be enjoying this time and be able to not look at each other as a different racial culture, because everybody needs to learn to understand and put yourself in their shoes. Doesn't matter if you have money in your pocket, you don't have money in your pocket, because everybody grew up differently. And it's just tough to see the situation that's been going on in the world, but hopefully it gets better. But at the same time, like we're here on this show today, just seeing the great positive influence that we have today. And I think we as athletes use our platform to show the positivity, and we have our voice to be very influenced. And I think it starts with the kids, and I think that's where I like what I do with my foundation is with the kids and showing them the positive attitude as far as what we can show for them. But you just don't get born racist or anything situation like that. So seeing everybody together holding hands and protesting, I think is an awesome situation that we are doing a group gathering. But at the same time, us athletes using our platform to teach other kids and to be positive about everything we see.
I think if you have any kind of platform, you don't say anything at all, then it's a waste of time. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're all here for a reason, and a lot of people who don't have these platforms, who don't have voices, they need somebody to speak up for them. And I feel like it's my job, and it should be all of our jobs to be able to speak for those who are in the dark, who can't be heard at this time. And I feel like if you're not using your platform at all in any kind of capacity, then you should be ashamed of yourself. And that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, just kind of couple of kind of piggyback on what Delino was saying before about that, like, hesitation of not trying to, like, rub people the wrong way, not trying to step on anybody's toes. Like, we live in a world where, like, at least I was kind of paying attention to what Colin Kaepernick was doing. Like, his rhetoric behind why he was trying to take a knee for social injustice and to spread awareness for it, and how quickly the tables were turned and how the narrative was changed to he's disrespecting the flag. Like, was scary. It's scary that a guy goes from starting QB to can't find a job. It's scary that, me as a black athlete, if I put myself in his shoes, there's not one interview that I can have to rectify, a narrative that's created. So it's kind of like disheartening to see something like that happen in the past. But it's also like right now we have an opportunity where it seems like everybody's on the same page about this.
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't feel for George Floyd crying out for his life when he was out on that concrete with his hands handcuffed behind his back, crying out, gasping for air, then, like, I mean, I don't know, you got different problems, but 99% of people watch that video and they're like, something's wrong here. And I think that now is an awesome opportunity for all athletes, whether you're black, white, whatever, to come together and start voicing these injustices, just because, I mean, now's the time, and everyone feels the same way, and I don't think it would be as easily shot down.
Yeah.
And I'll just say, for me, it starts with the kids. Just having that respect factor. Having respect for another person, teaching them to treat people the same. And for me, the police in general they just have too much power for me. I think if we strip some of that power, if the government find a way to strip some of that power or take away the immunity that they basically have, because they literally can go trespass or harass people and nothing's done. And you can see it in their faces that they're not worried about any consequences. And I think that's the issue, where if they start treating the police like everyone else, I think they'll think twice about doing things. And for me, arresting all those officers and holding everyone accountable, allows the good cops, the bad cops to maybe look at each other and say, hey, if I see something that's going that another cop is doing wrong, then I need to step in and intervene, because I could also be charged along with this bad cop that's doing something he shouldn't be doing. And I think that's when we need to start there. And I don't know if it could happen, but find a way for cops to, not have immunity or not hold so much power over people.
Yeah, to go off on what Cain said, yeah, I actually agree they have way too much power. And I actually saw something a couple days ago about Army men and like Marines, like they detain people with bombs, like literally that are literal threats, like, and then they're not literally shooting them or like killing them like off like first instinct, like they're not. They say drop your weapon, like they literally read your rights or whatever, and then they just grab you and then they arrest you. And these cops here, they literally react action first, and they literally just hit you over top of the head, they'll shoot you, or they throw downtown getting the tear gas, like rubber bullets, like getting hit by pregnant women in the stomach. Like I might just to see that, and seeing how like Army men and Marines, like they're trained way different than like actual cops. Like cops go through like a couple week training and then they get a badge. I feel like they should go through the same training as Marines and like Army men, like strict and like actually protect the people, protect and serve. Like they don't go by their own quote. So why are you a cop?
And Taylor,
there's a story, not a story, but it's something that happened to me a couple of years ago. Not happened to me, but when Bruce Maxwell, all y'all know who that is, but I was with Texas, we were playing in Oakland, and this might have been the day of or the day after Trump had called the guys who were kneeling sons of bitches. And he called me that morning. We had a day game, and he was like, "Man, I'm doing this today. I'm just letting you know. I've told my team. They know, and don't feel pressure to do it, but I just want you to know where I'm at." And I was like, "Dang, all right. Well, it kind of just, I don't know. It was happening so fast. I was like, okay, well, shit. What do I do?" So, I reached out to my agent. I reached out to JD, who was the GM, for the Rangers. And I had conversations with them, and that feeling, kind of what Josh was talking about, tiptoeing and that uncomfortability part of this whole situation. I didn't, me playing in Texas, to me it was uncomfortable to do that playing for that team. And the conversation that I had with JD and my agent was kind of similar to that. Like, I don't know if this is the right time. I think there's a different way that we can go about this. And in my whole head, I was like, dang, I don't want to be icy. So anyways, we go out there and the national anthem happens, and I look across the field and Bruce, he's kneeling. And his teammates got their hands on him, and it's a very powerful statement to me. And throughout the whole game, I just kept thinking about how I felt like I was selling out, and trying to find a way to be able to take that step. And it was a battle that I battled, from that point all the way up until this point. Him coming to Texas and talking with him before the game, and then seeing and hearing all the boos that I heard, and for a team that I play for, you know what I'm saying? It was, it fucked me up for a little bit. And so I guess at this point now, he's kind of been, pushed out the league. I don't know if it was because of that reason exactly, but, that's a shitty thing to see, and to sit back and kind of watch that happen. I don't know, it just messed me up. So at this point, going on.
Looks like we might be having some issues with the
That's
line.
why I'm so mad. Like, I've just been holding back now. I'm making steps that we're having. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. Well, I don't know where I left off at, but I was ending with, I'm so happy with the conversations that we're having amongst each other. I'm happy to see the dialogue and people wanting to be understanding, and I think we're definitely taking strides in the right direction. But after seeing all that take place with Bruce and and kind of feeling like I didn't do anything to help him, or, you know, I felt like a sellout. And, you know, at this point, I don't, you know, I'm not selling out for nobody no more. You know, this is our people, this is our struggle. And, you know, being athletes and having young African-American kids that look up to us, we got to stand up and speak on what we know. And, you know, maybe one day it can help save somebody's life in the future. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Taylor.
Well, that's going to be hard to back up with all them good points, that's for sure. It's going to be hard. But no, I mean, I think just going back to the whole Kaepernick situation, I still remember to this day whenever he started, when he did the kneeling and stuff, I remember going in the locker room that day and just hearing guys talk about it. And, like, they thought it was a joking matter about, like, asking me about, like, are you going to be kneeling now? Like, you know, like, should we be okay with that? Or just, you know, just trying to take it as, like, it's a game almost. And I got pretty upset, and I told about a couple of them during batting practice as well. I was like, this should be a game, y'all. Like, I don't think y'all really understand, like, why he's doing this. I'm like, you know, like, there's black people losing their lives left and right. And I was like, you guys think it's a game, like, you know? And I'm like, what would happen if, like, that happened to me? Like, would y'all start to see it, or would y'all be like, nah, it's just another black guy? You know what I'm saying? So I'm very thankful as well to be able to come back to the Rangers and, you know, hometown team I grew up watching since I was little, you know, and that's something I've been doing, getting back into the inner cities and trying to just show people. Like, I go to a bunch of the all-black schools, that inner city schools that don't really have much. And I remember I went to 3 schools this past off season. And I remember just going in there and telling them, I'm like, hey, like, I'm just like the rest of y'all. I'm like, yeah, you may see me play on TV and stuff like that, but don't try to, you know, I want you guys to use me as an example that, yeah, this may be a white predominant sport, but, like, if you put in the time and effort and everything, like, you can get to where I'm at, you know? So that's one thing I've really been doing, trying to get back in the community, especially since I live in Deep Ellum. You know, they hit that pretty hard. So I'm working on that, trying to do some stuff tomorrow and trying to just fix the community and just trying to show people that, you know, try to just bring people together. But no, like, I'm all for using the platform. Like, that's something I've always wanted to do, you know? I feel like God really gives people platforms, and it's our job to use it, you know? So that's something I've been doing, and not scared to voice my opinion and having conversations with people and trying to just speak up for us as well, and just trying to bring a cause to it. And I've got a lot of text messages from a bunch of people as well that are happy that I'm using it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm going to continue to do it throughout my whole career as well, and not going to stop after that.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting for me because obviously I run a museum that is, in essence, a social justice museum as seen through the lens of baseball. You know, everything about this museum is about the fact that it is as much a civil rights story as it is a baseball story, and the struggles that they faced in this sport. And for each of you as young African-American ball players in a sport that is primarily white, do you feel an inherent pressure as it relates to your race? And then when issues like this come up, do you feel a little bit of a weight on your shoulders as it relates to how you will interact in a locker room filled with people who don't really look like you?
I would say yeah. I'm gonna say yeah to that, because, like I say, the whole Kaepernick situation, you know, I remember when he did kneel, it was early on in my career, and I honestly was unsure of what to do, because, I mean, we can sugarcoat it, we can say whatever we want to say, but kneeling was basically ending people's careers. You know what I mean? That's, for me, that's basically what it came out to. And I feel like I'm just starting out in the league. I think I had maybe 2 years in the big leagues at the time, 2 or 3 years in the big leagues at the time. And I'm like, man, I just was unsure what to do. And I think for a lot of athletes that was in that tough position was very unsure whether they should kneel or stand or whatever the case may be. And I think that made it tough on everybody. And I think, but after the Kaepernick situation has passed by, and now I feel like everybody fully understands what is happening, why he kneeled, And I feel like from now on out, we all should use our platforms to push to do the right thing from here on out.
Everybody except for Drew Brees, I guess.
Well,
well, that was going to be one of my questions I was going to ask, because I think you guys are probably all aware of the comments that Drew made, I believe yesterday, as it relates to the flag and the anthem. And, and I think that's always a question, activism versus patriotism, and something that is symbolic versus something that is very, very real in terms of the impact that it's having on a cross-section of population in our country. And that's what I always wonder about, what it's like for you guys in those locker rooms as you're having to deal. This is a situation that I'm sure for the more majority of you is relatively new to this extent. And granted, we're not playing baseball at this time, but you can imagine, I guess, what it was like when Jackie Robinson walked into that locker room for the first time with folks who really didn't want him to be there. And while we've evolved from those sets of circumstances, these issues that affect the African-American community are very real, and they're being kind of misconstrued around patriotism, when in my opinion, you can never question the patriotism of an African-American, because we essentially fought for a country, and we fought in virtually every conflict this country has ever had, and we were fighting for a country that really wasn't fighting for us. And so I oftentimes wonder what it is like, that environment for you all, and do you feel like, again, are you walking on eggshells? Are you free to really express yourself? Are your peers embracing this and joining you in this particular chapter that we're in right now?
I think, at least for me, there's just a lot of confusion because people are raised differently. Like, I'm like a couple of you guys. I went to private schools. Like, my parents went to college. Like, my mom's side got like a line of professors. Like, they were all scholars and whatnot. So, like, they knew the importance of school. They knew the importance of getting an education because that's the only thing that gave them wealth. That's the only thing that gave our people a chance in this world, was getting an education. At least, over the last 100 years. Before that, we didn't have a chance, right? But like, in regards to the conversations, like, there's such a disconnect because people don't understand what it's like to grow up or to like try to understand, empathize with people in inner city communities. Like, people don't understand like why the inner city is the inner city. People don't understand about, the fact that banks withheld loans from Black communities for decades. There's a reason why the world is the way it is right now, and it feels like it was kind of orchestrated that way. And along with that orchestration, there was like a different narrative where like people were just talking about different things, going to the movies, watching games, whatever. And now we're looking up, and you look around, and it's like, it's not an even playing field for everybody that's growing up in the States. If you're in a certain neighborhood, if you look a certain way, you're less likely to get killed by a cop, and you're more likely to go to college and make a life for yourself. So I mean, it's tough. Like, I think it's important for us all to try to educate, ourselves and those around us. But a lot of people just don't understand, and it's not something that was like taught to me in high school. It's something that my mom taught me. But as more people realize what's going on, as more people look around and start asking questions why things the way they are, I think that's when real change can happen across the states.
Yeah. Well, now Dwight and Delino, you both have parents who played at the major league level. Was there any advice that they shared with you as you guys were moving into the major leagues about your ethnicity and how you needed to navigate in this sport to be successful?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
for sure.
Go ahead, Dwight.
Yeah, my dad would tell me stuff all the time, but like I was a kid, like I didn't know no better. So I was just going with the flow. I just loved playing the game, going out there and not really realizing what's going on until actually witnessing certain situations I went through where I've been through racism and like inequality, like in my own soul. I didn't think nothing of it at the time when my dad was trying to tell me, but now like I see it coming full circle, and it makes sense now what he was trying to like relay to me, a young kid. But at that time, it didn't really resonate with me because I was like, I was naive. I didn't really think about like kids acting that way or being a certain way. Like we're kids, like we don't know no better. So, but other parents instilling that in their kids, like really shows how, because kids really gonna look up to whatever their role model is. Like honestly, they want to copy whatever you do. They want to follow the same dude. I feel like whoever your role model is pretty much plays a part on like the person you're growing to be in some instances. But at that age, I didn't think nothing of it at the time until like I got older.
Yeah. My dad, he's a very proud black man. And, you know, if anybody knows my dad, they know that. But, you know, one of the things he always told me is, you know, we were born with one strike on us. And coming up through the system, he always told me that we had to work twice as hard. We had to do more to be able to just get a chance to play in the big leagues, and that we're not gonna get the same opportunity as, you know, y'all can hear me?
There it is.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Sorry, somebody was calling me. But we're not gonna get the same opportunity as a white baseball player or a Latino baseball player or whatever it was, especially when my dad was playing. The African American population was at like 20-something%. There was a lot of us that played in the big leagues during when he was playing, and you know, him kind of sitting back and watching the decline of our race and our sport. To him, it looked like these people were pushing us out of the game, and you know, this was kind of leading up to when I was making my way to the big leagues. He was like, "Look, son, like you got to do twice as much at this point. If you want a chance to play and play for a long time, like you can't sit back and do what everybody else is doing. You know what I'm saying? You got to put in the extra work. You have to, because if not, you're gonna be pushed out the game, just like a lot of other African American players that came before you. You know, he's a coach now, and you know, he sits in these meetings and he hears how, you know, these people talk about their players. And, you know, there's a lot of players that look like us that have the ability to play in the big leagues, but they're going to choose, you know, somebody else that can give that other person an opportunity no matter what. You know, no matter what your numbers look like, it doesn't matter. They're still going to, for some reason, they're going to give this guy an opportunity over you. So, and fortunate enough for me, I was a first rounder. I was 8th pick. So, you know, I understood when I got drafted that I was going to have more of an opportunity to make it to the big leagues. But I still felt for all my brothers, you know what I'm saying, that I played with coming up that were getting released, who were hitting 300 and you know what I'm saying, playing way better than somebody else, but they're getting released, they're getting sent out, and I'm sitting back watching this like it doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. Like, don't you want the best product on the field, type of thing. And you know, that's just something that my dad he continues to instill in me to this day. You know, to go out there and you got to put in extra work, because at the end of the day, if you fuck up one time, they're gonna replace you with somebody else, and they won't even hesitate about it. And I don't know how much of that is true or not, but that's just how he feels. That's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? So you know, I don't take what I do for granted. I go out there and I bust my ass every single day. But, you know, that idea, you know, that my dad instills in me, it sticks with me, you know, during the off season while I'm training, during the season, if, you know, I'm feeling tired and, you know, I want to break, you know, you got to snap the fuck out of it and get back out there and keep working. Because as soon as you slack off a little bit, you go over, you know what I'm saying? You have a bad streak, you get shipped out, you know what I'm saying? And that's just the reality of it. So, you know, he's always kept me on my toes about that.
Yeah. Now, Dwight, I saw a picture of you on your Twitter where you were out doing a little protesting. You were part of a group that was protesting. Has any of you guys been part of any other protests?
I haven't. It's been actually pretty peaceful here in Oklahoma. I'm in
You're
Oklahoma right now. So,
okay.
yeah, so it's been chilled. They had like a little peaceful protest 2 days ago, but that's really about it on this end where I'm from.
Yeah. Anybody else?
No, it's actually it was in Sarasota. It was kind of peaceful down there, but a lot of protesting is definitely happening in Tampa. But it was just only thing is just frustrating just seeing the riots because like it's just we have to live with it and it's in our communities. But like seeing Dwight, like I said, we had actually a team meeting about it and praising what he does and getting behind him. And I think we need to get behind each other, and I think we are, and in the best way possible. Just seeing the right way to go about it, protesting, using our platform, and speaking about it, and everybody, and going about it with your freedom of speech, and saying what you got to say. And I think seeing guys I actually went to school with, or NFL players, are protesting downtown and stuff like that. It's been really joyful to see that we're coming together. And I think in baseball and all other sports that we need to come together because that's people look up to us. And like everybody on this call right now, I look up to. I see them. I look up to. I know Josh Bell playing against him and facing everybody. It's just really joyful seeing everybody protesting and going about it the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason why I went up there because Reggie McClain, black pitcher for the Phillies, he told me they weren't doing anything up in Johns Creek because I live like an hour south from there. So I drove up there and like, yeah, I'll stand with you. And like he was like 10 minutes from like Forsyth County. I don't know if y'all seen like Oprah Winfrey do the special there. It's like one of the most racist counties in Georgia, and like in pretty much the world. There's still like KKK like joining. So I was nervous like going up there. So I was like, yeah, like I ain't gonna let you just be up there with your pregnant girlfriend and your mom, like just by yourself. Like I'm gonna just be there with you, bro. Like I'm gonna stand there behind you. And then like we had like our white buddies like came with us, and it was like I'm with us, and then just seeing that and like the reception we got from like random people. Yeah, we got flicked off by like a couple people. I can count on like one hand out of like the hundreds and thousands of cars that like showed love. So like that outweighed the bad. So just seeing that firsthand, and then random people coming up holding posters with us. Like I had a little 5-year-old girl told me she was afraid of the police like during that protest, and she was standing there holding a sign right there next to me. So that seeing that like is just like awesome. And the things I've been hearing from the black community in Atlanta, like you don't have to do this for us. Like we support you. Like I want to join in next time, and then it just keeps rolling. Like everybody like they want to know when the next time is. Like even random people are saying that. So just seeing that is just it's awesome, bro.
Well, I tell you what, if there is one thing that has come out of a tragic situation, that has been the coming together of beautiful shades of color uniting for a cause. And of course, activism is hard work. It is filled with emotion. It is draining. it wears you out. And
I was
but we can't,
sore as hell.
yeah, but we can't be worn out. This is a fight that will have to be kept up. And even beyond the protest will end at some point in time. But there has to be a systematic plan of what happens next. How do we make change? And as we get ready to close this out, I want to ask each of you, what do you want to see come out of this? What do you hope comes out of this anger, this passion, this fury that we've seen not only here in the United States? Guys, this is happening all over the world for something that took place here in the United States. And so I know for me, I feel a level of pride in the fact that people have unified in such a way. But again, there has to be a means to the end. And we need change. So as we get ready to close out, I just want to kind of get you all's opinion on what you want to see happen and what you think will come out of this set of circumstances and situations that we've seen. Taylor, I'll tell you, Taylor, we'll start with you.
Man, you know what? I think the biggest thing I want to see come out of this is just for us to just sit there and be able to have those table conversations, but just be able to listen to each other and not being able to be so quick to respond. But I mean, I have a lot of hope and a lot of faith in the generation, because I remember Steve Kerr said it best. And I mean, I've talked to about it with a bunch of my buddies. Steve Kerr even said, the generation that's coming up sees it, and they're open to it, and they're open to change, and they're willing to support each other in everything, no matter what ethnicity you are and like whatever you are. So I'm excited for it. I know patience is a virtue, that's for sure. So I mean, it's definitely one of the things we're going to have to take it day by day. But it's one of the things also where I'm also open to do whatever it takes, and no matter how long it takes, because I know for a fact it's going to get better. But I know for right now, I'm happy to see that there's a lot of people that are listening now and actually open to that conversation and actually are fighting for each other now.
Yeah. Lorenzo.
Mm-hmm. For me, for me, it starts with all the power, from the top of our government to the bottom. And I feel like as a whole, they need to change the system in which we live in, as far as, like I said earlier, the amount of power that certain cops have, certain people have, and just holding people accountable for when they do things like this. And the way people are coming together, like I say, all races, all color, all sizes, everything involved is definitely something I've definitely enjoyed seeing and watching throughout this whole thing. And the level of respect that everybody's showing each other. And for instance, I saw a video of, like I say, cops in New York or cops in different places where they lay down their guns and they lay down the batons or whatever, and they walked with the protesters and they kneeled with the protesters. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. When a person knows he's in the wrong, cops just don't follow orders. I want to see them say, all right, we understand what is going on, kneel with the people, and understand that there are people that's in charge that just shouldn't be, and please hold them accountable. And I think hopefully we're headed in that direction. And like I say, peace. Everybody just learn how to love each other, respect each other, and teach your kids that's growing up, what they need to do in order for all of us to survive.
Yeah, Dwight.
Well, maybe not, but like.
I would probably like to see, because I was actually in our meeting before this, and Michael Bennett was talking about how like they singled out Kaepernick, like he was like the one person kneeling, and they blackballed him out the league. But if you like come together, you can't do that to everybody in the league. So hearing him say that, like I want to see everybody just come together as one, and that's going to promote change, because they ain't got enough paddy wagons to throw everybody in jail and like do all this stuff to. So like I want to see that like part of the change, and wow, there's so much things I want to see, man.
Yeah.
And pretty much what we see in the locker room every day, like pretty much what we want to see in the locker room every day, and we look at each other as brothers. Like we don't see color. Like we all compete against each other to win a championship. I want to be able to look back at this like in 2020, like 20, 30 years from now, look at the TV, it's like, wow, like I was a part of that. Like I helped promote that change. That's what I want to see for like the kids younger than us and like my future kids possibly. And that next generation I want to see that. That's what I want to see once I progress and get older and stuff like that. That would be probably the best thing for me to see.
Mychal.
I think like Taylor and Dwight and Cain hit it right on the head, and just like to see a lot of injustice. And I say like strength through unity. I use that phrase through our foundation, just seeing everybody come together and stop this whole big fight, and understanding and everybody understand and putting themselves in each other's shoes, what they go through. And that's the biggest thing. Everybody, yes, on social media talk and all that, but like take a step back and understand what the whole picture was going on, and understand what that man and that family went through and everybody else. And it's like we always say Black Lives Matter, and we're using our platform and power to have people understand what we go through. And I think people just need to sit back and understand what everybody and just ourselves that we go through. And I think using everybody to speak about it, I think what Taylor said, I like that. And to be able to like speak about your kids, and because I have, like, to be honest, my kids are mixed, and to hopefully the next couple of years when they actually realize and understand what they were going through at a young age. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, to actually explain, and they can be told completely the right way and go about it the right way, and understand to express that, to unify everybody else to come together.
Yeah. Delino.
Well, what I would like to see change from all this, or come from this, is I want people to see us for who we are. You know, I want everybody to see that we're Black and we're treated differently, and we're not gonna be treated like you or anybody else in the world. And I think that's the problem. That's one of the problems with America is, you know, there's a lot of people who don't see color, and but I need you to, because when push comes to shove and we're in a situation and it's me, a Black person, and you, a white person, I'm gonna be treated differently than you are, point blank, period. And you know, I feel like, you know, the older generations who don't see that, they have no hope. You know, it's just something that's been embedded in them for a long time. But it does start with our youth, and it starts in our school systems too. You know, I went to a private school in Atlanta, and like they didn't teach us about our history.
Yeah.
And I don't blame a lot of people for not knowing, because they're just not taught these things. I had one teacher, he was an English teacher, he was a Black guy, and he was my favorite teacher that I've ever had, because he talked about racism, and he talked about how messed up the system is. He talked about the injustices that you know, different cultures feel being in America. And you know, funny enough, he got fired like 2 years 2 years after that. But we need more teachers like him in our school system to teach our kids and teach our children that, you know, we are one human race, you know what I'm saying? But there are different cultures and different people that have dealt with different things throughout the course of their lives, and I need everybody to understand that, so that we can all come together and be one. And And I think that's why I'm being a lot more vocal right now, because I feel like my whole life, you know, people haven't seen me for who I am. You know what I'm saying? I went to a private school, and I hear comments like, "Oh, you just a white boy trapped in a black body." I'm like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm black. You know what I'm saying? I need you to see me for being black, no matter how I grew up, who my dad was, how fortunate I was to live where I lived at. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need you to see me for me, no matter what I go through, no matter where I come from, what school I go to. You know, I need you to see me for me and see us for who we are, and the things that we endure on a daily basis, the fears that we have when we wake up in the morning, the fears that our parents have for us, you know, if they don't hear from us for a couple of days. I need people to that's what I want to see change. I want people to see us for who we are, and you know, I think if that came about, you know, I feel like that's a really big step in the right direction. But until then, you know, I feel like things are going to remain the same. You know, if those things don't happen.
Yeah. And Josh, I'm gonna give you the last word on this. Man, this has been amazing. I appreciate all you guys. Josh, floor is yours.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. No, this is a great opportunity for us to come together and talk about some of the things going on right now. It's a crazy world. But for me, what I want to see, first and foremost, just like a change in public policy. Like, it's got to be illegal for cops to make arrests without a body cam on. Like, it's got to be, like, if something goes down and your body cam wasn't on, like, make it so that it's like 6 months no pay and you can't go work in the next county over. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, make it so that it hurts so bad that stuff like this doesn't happen. Because we read the report, like, what those guys were going to say is that dude died in the hospital, and they were going to be, you know, protecting and serving again on the streets the next day, you know, later on that night. So it's like, for me, like, change the policies so that body cameras are necessary. Body cameras have to be turned on when you're making arrests, when you're going into houses, when you're, you know, searching different areas. Like, when stuff goes down, your body camera better be on. And I also want to see a world where, like, these body camera, this footage is more easily available for the community. You know, it shouldn't be a fight to see stuff like this. I feel like a lot more instances have been swept under the rug and nobody ever hears about it. And that shouldn't be the case. And I think that people should vote people in the office that want to reform these things, change these things. You know, I want to see a change to the system as a whole. I want to see people care about the system and care about an equal playing field for all people of all backgrounds, of all races, of all, you know, religious beliefs. Like, if we can create that kind of atmosphere, I would feel so much more comfortable bringing kids into this world and so much happier about the kids that, you know, they're going to have, like, the life that they're going to live. Because, you know, people 100 years ago were terrified about the world that they were bringing their kids into. And it shouldn't be the same way 100 years later. So, like, let's make sure that 100 years from now, that's just not the case, man. It can't be the case. So, I mean, that's just what I have.
Well, I tell you what, guys, number one, I'm very honored to have this opportunity to sit here and discuss this matter with each of you. I respect what you do. Obviously, I'm a fan of all of you. You have such a proud legacy in this sport. And that legacy obviously is documented here at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. And one of the messages that I oftentimes share with the young athletes who come to experience the museum and with the thousands of visitors who come and make their way in to see this museum, I sincerely subscribe to the belief that the more we know about one another, the easier it is for us to get along. with one another. And what we find is that we have far more in common than we do differences. But our differences are not things that we should be afraid of. They should be embraced. And we have to live in a society that if I don't look like you, and I don't talk like you, and I don't act like you, and I don't believe in the same God as you do, then I must be bad or you must be bad. And I think as we continue, and we hope we do evolve as a society, we will see people for who they are. And we will respect them for who they are. And as you all know, there's some good people and there's some bad people, you know, but what we also know, and my dear friend, the late great Buck O'Neill would oftentimes say, there's always been more good people than bad people. And what we're seeing now is those good people who have been so moved by this have come together. And again, collectively hope our voices will be channeled in a way in which we will see change. But what we certainly need to make sure that we do, and we need to trumpet this as loud as we possibly can. We have to now mobilize all of this energy and channel it into people getting registered to vote, so that their voices can truly be exercised. And it was something that Josh just mentioned, this opportunity to put people into positions of power who are going to carry this message forward. So I think we need to take that energy, make sure we go get registered to vote, and go to the polls in massive, massive numbers to vote for people that you believe will help usher in the kind of change systematically that we need. On behalf of your Negro Leagues Baseball Museum family and the folks over at SiriusXM, I'm Bob Kendrick. I'm the president here for the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. I want to thank Taylor Hearn, Dwight Smith Jr., Mychal Givens, Joshua Bell, Delino DeShields, Lorenzo Cain, for joining us for this program. Guys, it's great to see you. Looking forward to this game starting again. And when your travels make your way into Kansas City, come by and see old Bob. Yeah, come on by and see me.
I'm in your division now, so yeah, I'll be there.
No, always appreciate Mr. Kendrick and having us on the show, and appreciate all y'all guys taking the time, and hope to see y'all soon on the field.
Yes, sir.
Guys, take care.
All right, y'all take it
Thank you.
easy.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.